Hello, and welcome to another episode of Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday night. I sure am.
Man, too. What's up, Mike Canegas?
What's up, Mike Canegas? How's everyone doing? I'm doing the show tonight, and then Friday, tomorrow, I'm getting all ready, and then Saturday morning, I'm flying to Tucson, Arizona for a presidential debate where I will smash down my faux enemies in the Libertarian Party, because everyone knows I have the best platform anyways. And then I will fly right back for a debate, hopefully in Iowa if I can make it on time. And then after the debate, we will have Mike Termott, one of the other presidential candidates. He'll be in the studio on Sunday night. Of course, next week, Dave DeCamp from the great antiwar.com will be on the show. So we got some really great shows for you guys lined up. I'm excited. Before we get too far into it, let's talk about our sponsor, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, Top Lobster, where you can get this great hoodie. It didn't have to be this way, Ron Paul hoodie that you see me wearing tonight. Maybe by using I
don't know if it's up anymore.
I think it is. But you can go to toplobster.com, use BTC at checkout for a 10% discount, or join the Patreon, subscribe, become a member of all of our the channel under all our videos by hitting the join link, where you will get into a private Discord server, and you can get Top Lobster's new gear if he ever puts any out at a 30% discount up to 2 weeks before it goes to the general pop. So good stuff. Love Top. He's the homie. He is the homie. One of the best. One of my best friends. Really helped me kick this show off in the beginning.
Yeah. And he's got his own show now.
He's got his own show now.
Yeah, the Nephilim Death Squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also a Nephilim disrespecter myself. So I pray for everybody that has to meet a Nephilim, but we'll strike them down in righteousness. I promise you. We got a great show for you guys tonight. Let's check in with our co-host, Mr. Ryan Kurtz. Sir, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. Everybody remember to like, comment, subscribe. Apparently there's a new feature on YouTube where when we say subscribe, it'll make the subscribe button glow if you're not subscribed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, if you guys subscribe, usually it'll pop up on our screen too when we're doing live show. If somebody subscribes to the YouTube channel, it'll pop up. And of course, if you do super chats, your name will go on the screen, and we'll read your super chat live because we like money.
Yeah, we do.
We like money.
Yeah. We're dirty capitalists.
Dirty capitalists, absolutely. Capitalism will win, my friends. Yep. I promise you. Stay strong. AJ's running a little late tonight, so he'll probably sneak down into the basement at some point.
He gave me an ETA of like 5 minutes.
So he'll be here any minute.
Yeah,
so
he'll be here soon.
We'll have our AJ. But we do have a great show for you guys tonight. I'm very excited about this. I'm a fan of this gentleman. As you know, January 6th is a national holiday for me every year. Okay. And it's not because it's some great day. It's because it was a huge disappointment to me. Mm-hmm. Okay. We had the opportunity to have a real insurrection. And unfortunately, we got a guided rope tour, a couple of people beat up, and that was about it. And we still have democracy. Unfortunately, it still exists today. We still have a federal government as it exists today that continues to, drive people like Julian Assange and Ross Ulbricht into prison for no reason. But one of the very bright spots about January 6th, and one of the best, is everyone knows the picture of the man who stole Nancy Pelosi's lectern, right? The true Speaker of the House, the best hair in the game, and starting a new charity.
Stole it.
Yes, stole it. Stole it.
It's never been recovered. Like
he is the Lectern guy, sir. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been a long time coming. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I had actually sent a message to you a couple months ago, and then you replied, and then I totally missed the reply. And I'm like, oh, damn. But it was like, I think it was, in the thick of before we were having the baby, and I was doing the presidential campaign. I was going all over the country, and it was really hard on Twitter. AJ just finally moseyed in.
Yeah. He brought beer to apologize. I appreciate it.
No big deal. Whenever you feel like it.
Myself, yeah.
Are you having a scotch?
I am.
You had to stop and get some. Would you get some Exile? What? You got to put the mic in your face. No one can hear you, buddy.
I have some Ruthie from Exile Brewing.
You have Ruthies?
Roofies?
Ruthie.
Oh, okay.
He'll be a fun guest, yeah.
Plug him. Plug him. You want to plug Exile by the
Exile? Plug Exile.
That is a Iowa beer.
I don't know their politics, but
who knows what their politics is? It's
Exile.
Good beer.
Is it an IPA?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Probably super gay then.
Man.
Oh, actually, it's a lager.
IPAs are my favorite beer.
It's a golden lager.
It's a golden lager. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. That gets a pass.
There's
more of a stout amber guy.
Yeah, I am. I actually listen. I'm gonna say this on air. I probably shouldn't, but I don't drink beer very often. I prefer bourbon or rye. That's what I drink if I'm gonna drink. I like to go to the guilt, right? But I will have a beer every once in a while, and I used to only like Belgian beers. That's all I would drink was Belgian beers, Belgian wit ales, Belgian blondes, any of the Abbey Trappist monk beers I loved. Then I moved to Portland, Oregon, and I lived in Portland, Oregon for 7 years, and something happened there in that cold, gloomy, overcast, drab place where everybody's an alcoholic. What happened was every single brewery on every corner of every street in Portland, Oregon is an IPA spot, dude. And so I started trying the IPAs. And they take, they have these great hops that they grow right there. I mean, it's the hops are fresh. And I ended up liking IPA, and now I do drink an IPA from time to time. I don't know what happened to me. I used to hate them, but I got past it.
I sold beer for a couple of years for J.J. Taylor. So we went through all of them. I've had probably 300 types of beers.
Oh,
So I've been through all of them, but
Whoa.
I definitely land closer to stouts. I like cooking with them. I like
Sure.
smoking meats with them. So definitely where I land.
There was a place called Hubcap Brewery in Portland, Oregon that had a chocolate. It was like a chocolate porter stout or something.
Oh yeah.
And they used to they would do an ice cream float with it, and it was so good. It was like the best dessert beer you could ever have in your life, man.
I had a Vietnamese milk stout in Kansas City that was really good.
Yeah, that sounds gay.
I did a dry age ribeye whole subprimal. It was actually a milk stout, and it was dark chocolate. Put it all together with some Wagyu beef tallow.
Ooh.
It has kept coating it. Went 45 days. It was amazing.
I think I may have seen you cooking that. I may have seen a picture of you getting that all prepped. Guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We got Jew Tunnels. We got Noah Kanega. It's with the hard K.
What?
You didn't know that, huh? You
And the I is pronounced like an E.
Down.
But it's still going to be the highest
be
selling college jersey of all time.
Well, absolutely, dude.
He's so let down. He had no idea that's how he hasn't seen the interview.
Okay.
Yeah,
No.
if he's
Okay.
he's recruiting right now, I would demand that a part of like the recruiting package be that you get some return on the likeness of your name.
Well, that's what
It can be-
that's what NIL is, bro.
Yeah,
Well,
they will.
I don't know if you get it. I don't know if you get it for jersey sales.
You get a portion of everything that's sold in your likeness now in college
gonna get
because
Okay,
the NIL deal,
I
that's what's for.
wasn't sure about.
My nephew-in-law plays at Notre Dame, and he's already stacking tens of thousands of dollars in NIL as a tight end. Dude.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
What city do you think is going to buy the most
Kanega
Noah
jerseys?
Kanega jerseys?
Kanega.
It's gonna be.
Kanega.
Kanega with the hard K.
Well,
It's gonna be
he
somewhere
is.
out of Florida.
It's silent in every other word.
Okay.
It's still going to be a problem. I'm not gonna.
He went on a visit to West Virginia. So if he commits to West Virginia, it will be West Virginia.
That's hilarious. That would be hilarious if Noah Kanega's in West Virginia. What do you
How
got?
bad was his mom's last name that his dad didn't take it? Right? And I'm not. Your wife should take your last name if you're a guy. This is the thing I really believe in. Hyphenating is also kind of a beta thing to do, but if I had an opportunity to change my last name from that to anything else, I would. How bad is her last name? What is her maiden name?
It's got to be
I think we
bad.
should- It's got to be
It's Hitler.
super
Blackman.
bad.
It's Blackman.
But you know what's
Her
funny
last
about
name's
this?
Blackman.
You know what's funny about this is this is cool. This is actually cool. This is giving white people the N-word pass without having to say the N-word because we can just say "What's up, my Kanega?" now.
Well, if I
And
put
that's
it in text with the silent K, is it still racist?
I don't know, but we can say it with the K, and that's just our word. It's our word now. That's our word. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I went to a Bone Thugs and Harmony concert probably 6-7 years ago now, and I grew up with gangster rap, so that was kind of my thing.
Sure.
And when I went there, I was very much by myself, and I wanted to sing along the best I could, and I know all the lyrics, but I withheld from singing all of the songs.
Sure. I grew up in a place. I grew up in a place like that concert. Legitimately. I was on an island, my friends. And I've routinely been called the blackest member of the Libertarian Party with my blue eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Routinely been called that by several people, a lot, especially in Florida, the Florida delegation, because they've seen me in action at the Black Club. So,
Have I ever told my story on the show of how I got psyoped into screaming the N-word at people for a night?
oh God, I no, but we need to hear this
Oh my
now.
God.
All right.
Come on, out with it, buddy.
Yep. So I was in
Did you
college.
take your Ritalin tonight?
Yeah, I did.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just I'm excited to be here. I'm having a good time, and I might lose my job over this, but whatever. No, it's so.
Please don't fire Ryan.
So I was taking a history course because it was one of like the required classes, and I took the history of sub-Saharan Africa, and offered for
It's 2
extra
weeks long,
credit
right?
was to go to this exhibit that the Black Coalition of Students was doing about like kind of trying to emulate slavery as best as they could.
Sure.
And so I went and did that for extra credit, and I thought it was actually really cool. So you walk in there, and immediately some guy's yelling at you with a whip. There's cotton on the floor. You got to start picking it up, and then they take you through like
What, yelling at you?
through the like back hallways and the underground railroad. You get auctioned off. It's crazy. And I was like, okay, this was kind of cool. So I asked the organizer, hey, is there any way I can help out? I'd love to.
Oh
And
my God.
they just said, yeah, show up tomorrow wearing a plaid shirt.
Oh,
And I don't have any plaid, but I got something that might pass. They're like, great. I am completely oblivious as to what my role might be. I show up and I realize once I'm there that I am the only white person and I am the only man.
yeah.
Oh,
So
Don't worry, he was just a sharecropper, everyone.
Yeah, you a massive.
So I have this group of college-age black women pressuring me to go scream the hard R at people for the next 3 hours of my life. And there wasn't anyone else who was going to be able to do it. So I did it. I was 20 pounds lighter than I am now, and my voice was a little bit higher. And so I did not do it.
Before your balls dropped.
Is this
I
before
was-
the
I was
internet?
nine-
Is there any footage of this?
I was like, no, I was like 19. So I'm in there, and whenever I did all right when there was like a group of white women that came in, and they would be like scared, and I would like crack the whip next to them, and be screaming at them. The fucking
Oh my
football team
God.
walks in.
okay. Listen, I'm hearing
Offensive
this whole story.
lineman.
Yeah.
This is my takeaway. This is why 19-year-olds shouldn't vote. If you can be
Yeah.
silent
Yeah, dude.
and
If you,
just screaming the N-word at a bunch of like scared white girls, I don't think you should be able to determine the direction of the country.
But
I don't.
Okay, I think I got one of the only legitimate Edward passes. I was playing a character.
Uh-huh.
You were, yeah, you had.
You're
that's
an
not
actor.
that's not a
You were an
legitimate
You
actor.
did it.
word.
That's
No,
fine.
he
No.
did the. He
No,
did the Papa
I think
John's
that
thing.
was-
That's
if-
Papa John.
That's-
If
yeah, you Papa
college
John'd it up,
age,
yeah.
Papa John
if
did.
college age black women are like basically begging me to do it, like I think that's an acceptable pass.
Oh, he was
So
begged.
you're basically like the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like I was playing a role.
It's just a, it
Oh,
was
I
just a
wasn't.
role.
Yeah,
It's
it was.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't. I don't know.
it helped me. It helped me connect with my roots.
Well, I'll say this. Look, most of you in 2020 were just putting black squares on your profile picture on Facebook. This man went out and
Yeah,
lived it. What are you doing?
This-
What are you doing?
This was 2014.
This man was out there in 2014 living it while you're putting black squares on your Facebook profile.
I was
Honor this
taking
man.
action. I was
Not
showing
exact-
just how racist white people used to be.
This is extra credit.
Yeah.
This is for a class.
Well,
This is
just
for college.
just going through the experience was extra credit, just attending, and I thought it was awesome.
Sounds like some critical race theory to me, dude.
Yeah.
It was more artsy, and I'm kind of an artsy guy.
Look, I
So-
grew up in theater, so both my parents were in the Navy, but they were both musicians, so Navy band. So we grew up in
Wow.
theater. I was always at plays and concerts, things like this. So I get that whole side of it. I really do.
I was in the Navy
I
too.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was at ABF.
Did-
I worked with fuels though. I was not in the Navy band, unfortunately. I wish that had been my job. That would have been cool.
I have a minor in flute.
Yeah. I always forget this.
Flautist.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
I am a
flautist.
flautist. I am.
This man went to college to get a minor in flute.
I actually went
can't believe it.
at the time. I was a
Yeah,
major.
but
in
not
flute.
before disparaging an entire race of people for 3 hours.
I don't believe it.
It was only 3 hours.
It was just 3 hours. I would listen. Ryan was only racist for 3 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your excuse?
Wow.
What's your excuse?
He
AJ?
balanced it out by playing jazz flute for the rest of his time there.
Actually, it was flute boxing.
Oh my god.
I was elevating the art
Oh my
form.
God.
Thank
I
you.
can't with this guy.
Good
I can't
Lord.
with this guy. I can't. AJ, what's your excuse? How'd you become racist?
You know what? Speaking of, I was reviewing some Jared Taylor clips.
Oh, here we
Since
go
last
again with
show.
the Jared Taylor.
Yes.
Oh my god, AJ.
I can't find anything offensive
Yeah.
because you reverse the races, and I'm like, I've heard Tariq Nasheed say something 4 times
Way
worse than
yeah,
that.
every time, yeah.
You know?
But white people aren't allowed to say that.
So I just do the math. I'm just doing both sides of the mathematical equation.
Well,
So
don't
if
you know
hear-
math is
if you-
racist?
If you hear Jared Taylor say something offensive,
Are you
can do
familiar,
the math on the other
Lectern
side?
guy? Are you familiar with
Replace
Jared Taylor?
Yeah,
It
everybody.
sounds.
Is
it
he hot
sounds
lava?
familiar.
Like, I don't even know why he was kicked off Twitter.
I mean, he was kicked off Twitter because he's like a separatist, right? Like he's a white separatist.
Well, yeah, but
And
it's
so,
all,
like,
it's all
anybody-
intellectual
anybody-
stuff.
Yeah,
He's
but
all
here's the
saying-
thing. Here's the thing. Like we already we could say this all day. It made like I've said prior that I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the 14 words. I think that if the black person said
Oh,
it,
right,
it'd be
yeah.
fine. If a Chinese person said it, it'd be fine. But when a white person says it's bad, I'm not a white separatist. I'm not a white nationalist.
Right.
But I understand that sometimes races would like to have their own space, right? And so
Yeah.
but you're not allowed to do that in America if you're a white guy.
Well, that's what I was.
I've met more racist people in prison than I've ever met out here.
I forgot you went to prison.
true.
In real life. Yeah. So it's more of a it's more community based,
Yep.
right? So the people in prison, it's not so much that they don't like each other, it's just that people come and go so often that it's much easier to kind of regress into you're one of us because you look like one of us, and because you look like one of us, you're going to be one of us.
Right.
So there's a lot of safety and security in that. So prison is like that. Like all the TV rooms are separate, right? So there's like a white TV room, there's a Mexican TV room, there's a black TV room, but there's one TV room that's communal. It's sports because everyone likes sports, right? It's the great equalizer. But prison was the worst place. Actually, the first actual Nazi that I met, or separatist or Odinist, there's like 30 different names, was actually in Atlanta or Chicago. It was in Chicago during a layover where our flights got delayed. We were there with the 4 kids at the time, the wife. Got out of the hot tub. It's been a long day. We're sitting in there. This guy comes in with the nautical stars and stuff and all that stuff. He said, "I was like, oh, this guy was Mexican, but he just didn't like other people." But it's the first time. I was like 24 years old.
Right.
It's the first time I've actually met someone. I don't see how real this is anywhere.
It's not nearly.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
It's pumped as this huge movement in the United States, and it's just really not.
Yeah.
If they keep like pumping it and whatnot,
Yeah, it's
and
gonna get bigger.
Yeah, it's gonna grow, and there's gonna be more animosity, and you're gonna have an actual issue on your hands.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, anytime you lift up one part of anything, you disparage the rest of people, right? And I don't really give a shit what you are, what you subscribe to, and what you say you are. It doesn't make a difference to me. Are you a good person? Are you doing good things with your life? And I don't think I should have to throw a parade for you for what you put in your mouth or the color of your skin. That's absolutely stupid. Like, what good thing are we doing? What reason are we throwing a parade then? Are you doing a good thing? Are you a good person?
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing
Well,
is stupid.
it's the
to me.
argument against forced diversity. And I was I came up in the 90s, when high crime time. And so that's when I was in junior high and high school, and we were always taught that diversity was a great thing, and we celebrated it. We had diversity week. It was a real, the point was, this is a good thing and we need to integrate this into our society. And that's just the way I was taught that.
Right.
And now, I've grown older and I'm like, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that forcing
Well,
is a
how
great
much?
idea, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
how
I don't
much
think there should be a
diversity,
lot of
right?
force that. Well, I just think it should happen organically, and when you watch it happen organically, people self-segregate. That's just the way things happen.
How much diversity until
Yeah.
it's all black?
What's that?
It's not diverse enough until it's all black.
No, I don't think that's
Well,
true.
I don't.
Like the Oscars.
Well, that's that's the narrative, right? It needs to match. Every board of directors everywhere needs to match the DEI stuff has to match the population, right?
I'll say this. Let me say this
It's
because
hogwash.
I got in this conversation. You know Owen Benjamin, right? The comedian Owen Benjamin.
Yeah.
Obviously, very very big on the racial jokes, and I get that. That's fine. And he's always talking about the black kid that stole his bike, right? He brings that up a lot. And I went on to one of his posts, and I said a very real story that happened to me. White skateboarder kid broke into my mom's house, stole my bike. I had like a Diamondback Assault, like that I paid for myself, saved up money for years.
Yep.
And, stole my PlayStation and a couple other things out of my house, a bunch of my mom's jewelry and shit. His name was Johnny Styles. This is a real story. I posted this story on one of his things just to say, like, because when I found Johnny Styles outside the high school, I roughed him up. It was raining. There was like a puddle on the ground. I roughed him up pretty good. He started crying. Okay. He's like a white tweaker skateboarder kid. He started crying. Yeah. And there had been a group that formed around us. And this black guy, out of the blue, just absolutely levels him. I mean, punches him in the face harder than probably I've ever seen anybody get hit in the face in my life, still to this day. And he goes out in a puddle. He's laying like face down in a puddle. Someone had to like turn him over. And the guy's standing over this guy, screaming at him, saying, "You don't ever rob nobody's mama's house," inward, over and over and over again. Right?
Yeah.
Just out of the blue. I didn't know this guy at all. Right. And this is a true story. I posted that on Owen Benjamin's thread about the black guy stealing his bike. Right. And of course, everybody pops on and goes, "I'll take things that never happened for 500 and da da da." I'm like, this really happened.
No, that happened. Yeah. We had to stop him from stomping his head.
Yeah.
He was unconscious. And he's going to go stomp his head.
Yeah, he was going to go stomp him, sure. But we did. And I'm telling you, this is a true story. But I'll tell you, like, so when we talk about like forced diversity and stuff, like I'm not pro forced diversity. I think people should live how they want to live.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, I liked living in places where I had a lot of Mexican neighbors. I never minded it. They used to invite me over for parties, bring me tamales. There's good food trucks on every corner. I enjoyed that growing up.
Yeah.
But I also lived in all black neighborhood where I had to fight to get my respect. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I did. I had to fight to get my respect, and eventually I got my respect. I'll tell you, the worst neighborhood I ever lived in was a white tweaker neighborhood. And I mean, white tweaker to the max. Like every house on the block was tweakers.
Yeah.
People got shit stolen out of their cars every fucking night. Their catalytic converters being cut off in the middle of the night from your car. I mean, just the
helter
worst.
skelter.
Yeah, the absolute worst neighborhood.
If we're talking about, like, we use their language, we're talking about it's like changing implicit bias, right? There are scripts and schemas that people have. Like if someone's wearing a police uniform, you're going to assume they're a police officer, right? So we have these scripts and schemas that we kind of direct our life in, and it helps us be safe. That's what evolution has made us do, right? When we relearn these things, like retrain their implicit bias, they know they're being forced to relearn it. So the best thing we can do, and I really think this is it, let people act in the way they want to act, and let people observe what they're doing and conclude for themselves, this is how I see life. Now, it may be anecdotal for each individual, but what happens is the collective of these different cultures, these communities, these diversity groups, right? They will either have to acknowledge this is how people view us because we have given them so many instances where we act this way, or they'll have to change it to be viewed differently.
Well, I think if we stopped the forced DEI and diversity and stuff like that, like the forced, I mean, it's like forced, not integration, but just diversity, right? Like you have to live in a neighborhood that has, this race and this race and this race.
Right.
If we stop that, people would self-segregate.
Yes.
And you've already seen it.
People who get brought in there forced to be there, right? You don't think they'll also feel uncomfortable?
Right.
What you're doing is putting two people at odds. Both of them will feel uncomfortable. Like they will have the idea, I don't belong here. I was only brought here because I didn't get here myself. You don't think that makes them also uncomfortable?
We can look at it in terms of the forced integration of blacks in America, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like when that started, it was forced at gunpoint by police and the government, right?
Yes.
And here, fast forward now, 80 years later or 90 years later or whatever, right? 80 years later. And they have started to self-segregate again, right? All black colleges, all black hospitals, all black
all black graduations,
all black graduations. So like people are always going to segregate themselves into like like people. It's going to happen. But there's also people that like to hang out with everybody. And it's just like, who gives a shit? Like, let people do what they want to do, but don't force it. Anyways, we did get a super chat from JC for $10. And he wants to know, what is the Lectern leader's favorite Bone Thugs track?
Oh, I mean, okay. So there's the standard first of the month, right? Everyone loves first of the month. I mean, everyone loves that. Oh, what is my favorite though? It's also Crossroads. Let me dig deep here. Busy Bone had a solo album. That's not it. I'm gonna go with I like AK-47.
Okay.
Probably one of my favorite.
I liked
little deeper in their catalog.
I liked the offshoot of Bone Thugs, and I'm not gonna remember what it was called, but they had that like country western rap song where they were like,
they did.
What the hell
it was a Ghetto Cowboy.
Ghetto Cowboy. That one was awesome.
Yeah.
Dude. Did you ever hear that? It's really, we used to listen to it on repeat all the time. It's pretty dope. So hey, the Lectern guy, why don't you let's talk about a little bit about January 6th. Of course, I always make a joke out of January 6th every year. I get excited about making my posts and talking about what a letdown it was. And I mean that. I do mean that. In a sense, like, I'm happy that people are upset with the status quo, right? Like, I'm happy that people are starting to notice things. I think that that's really important. The great noticing, guys. It's not just about the Jews. It's also about it's also about like, the Republicans and the Democrats and the people in power and the cathedral, these people that rule social media and academia and the news media, and people are waking up to this stuff going, hey, like, something's not right here. And so, like, for me to see that many people upset about the status quo, and there was a lot of people that were there. It wasn't just about Trump. I think that a lot of people think this was just about Trump.
Yes.
But it was about the corporate news media. It was about academia. It was about the social media companies. It was about our government, who is sending our money overseas every month, while 12% of the population in the United States can't afford to put food on the table, right? Like, there's so much going on in America, and they always try to take the narrative and go, oh, Trump, or oh, Russia, or oh, Hamas, or they always try to force all of this big like, forest for the trees shit all into one narrative and say, this is why they're doing those things. So it was nice for me to see that. Yeah. And so it was nice for me to see that. But it was a letdown because we didn't, at the end of the day, the Capitol was still there and democracy still exists and the federal government is still a thing. But why don't you give us your rundown of the day, entering the building and how it felt, as much as you can talk about. I'm sure that you got some kind of judge that was like, you can't say this and this and this, but whatever you can talk about.
Oh, I can actually say whatever I want. A lot of people don't like it. The only stipulation I have is I cannot make money for the next 3 years based on anything that I am.
Wow, really?
So, it was part of the plea deal. But the plea deal was either sign this or you have a felony.
Right.
So,
not
a felon. Yeah, got my guns back. So that's all that matters.
Nice.
So showing up to January 6th was a culmination of all of those things. It was COVID, it was lockdowns, it was the silencing of free speech. And I have a lot of kids, so I didn't have a lot of time to be very political or in the know. And then as the kids got older, I started listening more, and things just got really out of hand. We were silencing things that were true. We tried to convince an entire community that you get COVID because someone made bat soup. Like, this was a thing, And if you do things like take ivermectin, you're an idiot. It's like, well, it is a case studied medication that does work for a handful of things, and
off-label things as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the silence of voices, right? There are doctors who wanted to prescribe steroids because it's a respiratory infection, and typically the gold standard is this is what you prescribe. And we see all these things happening, and it's almost like they wanted us to get sick. They needed us to get sick. They wanted us to live in the space. And this was kind of the start of how much can we get away with? And then what can we get away with next time? So I'm watching all these things. The election was obviously an issue. I've never seen anything like that in my life. So I show up to DC. It's my first protest I have ever been to in my life. Never been to a Trump rally. Didn't vote for him in 2016. Voted for him in 2020. Show up, and it's basically it's a large crowd standing around listening to speeches. This is not a riot. We get instructed at some point to go down to the Capitol because there's a protest happening there. That protest started before the speeches even stopped. And we have real timelines now showing that. As I approach the Capitol, there's a group of people standing around a bunch of police officers. They have like a semicircle in front of the building. We're standing there. Out of nowhere, concussion grenades come out over the police lines. They start gassing us. And what happens is this concussion grenade lands about 10, 15 feet from my feet, and it everyone in front of me forward and everyone behind me back. So the first 3 or 4 lines engage with the police because they're being pushed forward. Something just exploded behind them. And that's shit just kind of popped off. Cops are pushing people, protesters pushing people. But what are they supposed to do? When you are in imminent danger, right? These evolutionary things you're talking about, something explodes behind you, you're going to push forward, right? Animals do this, right? If you're herding sheep or something, pigs will jump off a cliff if you keep pushing them, So I see all these things happening. I'm not there. I don't want to hit cops. I don't really support that or hitting anyone in general, unless they're talking to my wife or kids in a way I don't like it. I go inside because a group of people are going inside. I have no idea that anything is happening. Just hundreds of people are filtering in through a door. So I follow the hundreds of people filtering in through a door. And from what I've seen for protests at the Capitol, it's very common to go inside and protest and leave and not be arrested. I've seen several of these events happen over history, and I think I'm within my rights to do this. I go inside, people are walking around. I've never been in the Capitol before in my life. I see this lectern sitting under some stairs out in the open. It's not an office, not in a locked room. I pick it up. I carry it 20, 30 yards to the center of the room, give a short speech behind it, and walk away. I wander around for 20 or 30 more minutes. There's a group that is marching down towards the Senate chamber doors. This is Ashley Babbitt's group. So I follow them because they seem like they know where they're going. I'm sitting by the doors and I'm chatting with the guy, and I'm asking the guy, like, what's here? What's going on? It's like, oh, that's where they are. I was like, what do you mean that's where they are? He's like, well, that's where they are. I was like, who's they? He's like, that's where they're meeting to count the votes. And I'm like, they're still here? That's ridiculous. Like, this thing's been going on for 2 hours. How are they still here? There aren't protocols to get them out of here. And I'm still not even sure they were actually there. That's a completely different story. But
they were there with plastic bags on their heads, man.
Yeah. and Rangers hiding behind women. Yeah,
exactly. I'm sure that happened. And don't forget AOC 20 blocks away, scared for her life as well, cowering.
God rest her soul.
They were banging on the door of her office.
Yeah, 20 blocks away. Yeah, totally. Sure, that happened. Yeah, dude, that's just crazy to me. I routinely on this show, and I'm surprised I've never gotten a strike for it. Routinely on the show, I call it an unguided rope tour Capitol. I mean, that's really what it was.
The great meandering.
Yeah, it was a great meandering, and you, unfortunately and unfortunately, I guess, will forever live in infamy because of one picture, right? I think, and it's funny because we see you quite a bit. I mean, I follow you on Twitter, I see you on some shows, and I see you a lot. But I want to know where the little old lady with the American flag and the "Don't Tread on Me" sticker in the coffee mug is at. Where's that?
The old lady?
Yeah,
that was at Missouri. It wasn't even at.
It wasn't even here. Damn it.
Yeah, that was a different. Yeah,
it was Wisconsin,
it was Missouri,
or
and they used that
Missouri,
as
Kansas. I think it was Kansas. Actually.
Yeah.
And they used it as January 6th fodder. Go figure.
He was in all the memes as, oh, it was just grandmas with flags.
Man, I wish it was. She had been there.
But there were grandmas there.
Yeah,
there was a grandma there actually with cancer, like lost all her hair to chemo, and they still sent her to prison for.
Seriously? For how long?
Seriously, I think it was 2 months, 60 days.
How long did they send you to prison for?
75 days. I did 71 days in a federal prison and 4 days in isolation at a local jail.
What federal prison did it?
Coleman in Florida.
Oh, well, at least you got some nice weather, right?
I did. They actually, I was in isolation for the first, I think it was 17 days I was there. And then when they finally let us out, they were still doing COVID lockdown. So they kept us locked up, inside the building, couldn't leave. We could leave to go get lunch, but we had to come back, lunch, breakfast, dinner, those things like that. But there was a point where they were just mad at so I stayed in the camp, and the camp was wild. People were bringing in contraband every single day. I mean, we're talking cell phones, drugs, porn, Rokus. I mean, it was
Rokus.
It was
holy shit.
Yeah, Johnny Walker Blue and a cake. That's what I had for my going away party. They were nice to me, but
Yikes.
They were mad at the camp because they were bringing in contraband, and the warden had put out an email, and he CC'd every section of the prison. Hey, COVID restrictions are up. You get your yard privileges back. So basically, you can go play basketball, go play baseball, walk around the track, whatever. Well, our camp didn't let us do that. And I said, well, the warden just said I could. So I walked out one day. I was like, I'm fucking tired of being inside. I'm going to go for a walk. So I go out there, the only guy on the track, and I do a couple loops, and everyone's looking out through the window, like 30 people plastered to the windows, like, dude, they're going to put you in the shoe. They're going to put you in isolation. I'm like, I don't care. I have a letter from the warden. It's like a walk. So I walk for 10, 15 minutes. Eventually, 3 people come out, 10 people come out. Eventually, the entire prison just empties into the yard. And they allow us to have our yard time back because I went out and said, this is bullshit.
So
you can't tell us we can't go for a walk.
So the prisoners really
That's
liked you
awesome.
at that point, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I always I've never been to prison, thankfully. I did. There's
it's really easy to go.
Yeah, apparently it's not that hard to get there, huh? I will say a lot of people don't know this about me, but I did 6 days in county jail once for a charge that I never even saw a judge for. I went in on a let's see, it was Thursday night for something that I didn't do, and Friday counted. Saturday and Sunday didn't count because they can hold you 72 hours without seeing a judge. They have to let you go. Yep. Saturday, Sunday didn't count. Monday was Christopher Columbus Day, so they didn't count that. Tuesday counted. Wednesday they let me out. Wednesday morning, and this is in Richmond, California. They let me out on the giant highway in Richmond, California, and say good luck. And I have to walk from West County in the Bay Area down the giant highway, which is like literally people have been murdered on that highway a million times. And I'm walking down there.
Prosecution saw it and they're like, no, we're not charging. Let him go.
Yeah, I never saw a judge or anything. I don't even know. I don't even know that the charges were ever even filed. I don't even think that ever happened. I think they just arrested me, took me to county jail. I was in county jail for 6 days, and then they
figured it out on Wednesday. I was like, oh, shit.
So funny story though. There's another funny story about this. So that was my only jail experience as an adult. I did a lot of time as a kid in juvenile hall. A lot. Yeah. I've 3 years probably all combined. I was a bad kid. I got in a lot of trouble. I got in probation, 1 year on probation as a kid. Every single thing you do, you're fucked. You're going to jail. You're going to juvenile hall. But anyways, so fast forward several years after this, 10 years after this ordeal as an adult, I go to buy a handgun in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. And I go into the Cabela's because they had a Glock 21 sale. I wanted a Gen 4 Glock 21. And I go in and I get this for my birthday. My ex-girlfriend at the time is buying this gun for me as a birthday present. And so I do all the paperwork and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go walk around and look at ammo and ammo boxes and stuff like that because this is going to be my new carry piece, right? It's Glock 21. And I come back and they're like, actually, you've been flagged. You can't buy a handgun in Portland, Oregon. And I'm like, excuse me? And they're like, you have something here from, you'll have to call the state sheriff or the county sheriffs and tomorrow and ask them what it's all about. So I call them and they're like, yeah, you have a felony charge from 2006 or whatever that says damaging a phone line. I'm like, damaging a phone line? A felony? What are you talking about? So I actually had to call California. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, if you want to take these things off your record, you have to send us a check for $55. You send us some paperwork. You have to get this taken off your record. I said, it's your fucking mistake. You guys are the one that left. I was never charged with this. I was never convicted of this. You guys held me in jail for 6 days. Never saw a judge. No, nothing. It was never even pending.
Yep.
And they're like, sorry, it's kind of on us, but you have to pay us and fill out this paperwork if you'd like to get it removed. So I had to send that in and get it back before I could go and pick up my firearm. And I was like, I never even was convicted of a crime, and they wouldn't sell me a firearm at Cabela's in Portland.
The first and only guy in California to have that happen to him, right?
No, well, yeah, right, exactly. Such a crazy story to think about.
This happened to me too when I was finished with everything. So prison, my year of supervised released, I was supposed to get everything back. I have letters from my probation officer, federal government. Yeah, you're good. Go after it. I went to go purchase a gun because, just wanted to make sure everything was copacetic.
Of course, yeah. Especially after what you've been through, man.
Exactly. So I get flagged, and I get flagged by the FBI and the state of Florida. The what is it? NCIS? I think it's NCIS.
Oh, sure. No, it's the
NICS. NICS.
NCIS is the
Naval
long-running
criminal.
television show.
Well, it's the naval criminal investigation system. It's like where the JAGs and all
They
those
have
people
like
work.
18
But in
spin-offs of that
ICS is
shit.
the national. What is I can never remember the acronym, but that's
I don't
basically
know.
that
It's a
came in with
criminal database.
that came in with the National Firearms Act,
Yeah.
and it's essentially how they try to make
It's
you.
Scotland Yard.
Yeah.
Registered, yeah. Well, I fought, so I had to fight. So I had to get my documentation from Washington, D.C., and I'm calling the county clerk like, hey, I need these documents. Like, oh, you're not in our files. We don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, asshole, I'm on your website giving you my case file, and you can Google me.
Yeah.
You
You're like, just
obviously
Google
have
the
a
Lectern
file.
guide. Come on, what are you doing?
So that took 2 weeks. Attorneys had to get involved. Finally, the documentation. I'm working with the FBI. I have to get fingerprinted again because I guess they don't have my fingerprints. Every single 3-letter agency has my fingerprints, but I'll do it again. Fine, whatever. Send it to them. They're like, we don't know who you are. We didn't deny you. What are you talking about? I'm like, you gave me this number. This is the number you gave me. So 3 times I asked them for this, right? They finally said, oh, yeah, we definitely found your record the 3rd time.
Right.
So they give me permission to buy guns one time. There's a special number they give you, right?
And then
you'll
have to do it like every time you go to buy a gun.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, I went and bought 6 more is what I did.
Smart.
And then so I went to go pick all of them up. I got denied again, this time by the state of Florida. State of Florida said, oh, you can't purchase guns because you were arrested for this crime. Went down to the Department of Agriculture, which does the concealed weapons permit licensing. Nikki Freed took my license from me through all of this.
Wow.
So I'm like, well, I'm here to get my license back. They're like, no, you can't have it back because, you're a felon. It's like, no, here's my documentation. They said, take it up with Tallahassee. And I'm like, I'm giving you the documentation in person right here. This is notarized. This is a court sealed document. Give them my license. Well, they wouldn't. Got the attorneys involved again. We had to call some secretaries for some state lawmakers. Long story short, it's a long story. I got everything back, but I was stopped at a federal level and a state level. Mhm.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's like
How about those gun laws?
Yeah, how about those gun laws? Really
It
doing
makes
great
so much
stuff, right?
sense.
Well, it's so funny because the left will be like, yeah, that's a success story. We stopped him from getting guns for a week.
Yeah,
what I
the
mean?
guy's not a criminal.
Yeah, and he's not
This is the
criminal. And you are probably a very rare case of someone who's been to federal prison and is not a felon, though. I will say that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Very rare case of someone.
We're
who's been to-
becoming less and less rare. The amount of non-violent misdemeanor cases from January 6th that went to prison over this
Yeah.
is staggering, except for Ray Epps. That is the one that got away.
That's what I was
Yeah.
going to ask you about.
He's
How do you
doing,
feel
like,
about that,
90
dude?
days of probation, right?
Yeah, he didn't even
Oh,
go
he's
to
A
jail.
year of probation.
He's done.
He had
Yeah.
a year of probation
That's
is
it.
what he got.
And he's the
So
guy
I-
seen on camera yelling, "We have
He's
to go
on
inside."
tape. A call for action
2 days.
to you
On
want
the
to talk
5th
about
and the
overthrowing the
6th.
government. There you go. There's your statement. No, we need to go inside the
Yeah,
Capitol.
I've seen that video where he's like, "We need to go inside
Yeah.
the Capitol."
And
My
they're just
buddy
yelling
Jakes
Fed.
Alaska was the guy who showed that. He's the one who broke it. On top of this, Ray Epps did not just say that. He was in the front lines shoving a large sign, like aluminum sign, into the police line. There's video of that as well. It's been well documented. This man assaulted police officers on top of it. Here's what's frustrating for me. This judge sent 3 people with the same charge to prison for 45 days apiece. Every single one. So he's breaking his own protocol. That's one. 2, if you try to look up his charges, Ray Epps' charges on the DOJ .gov website that has a specific and unique search engine for January 6 cases, not show up. You cannot find his information. You have to go on Pacer. Pacer is the official, you have to pay for a subscription to go look at charges. When you go look at his charges, do you know what you find?
What?
Redactions all over the place.
Oh, dude.
The attorney who came in to represent him, he's redacted. Every single officer with body cam footage, all redacted. Tell me again how I'm not supposed to say this guy's a Fed.
That's all Fed like shit. There's no doubt about it. That's
How many? If you had to guess, how many do you think were there that day? How many would they have had? I can never get a sense for the size of the crowd when I watch the videos. It's all
won't show
zoomed
you.
in and security stuff.
Yeah,
What
they
was
won't show you.
from the size of the crowd? How many could have been in the crowd to carry this out inside
At least-
operation?
God. Let me look up at least the size of the Buccaneer Stadium. And I've been to several games in Tampa.
Oh, he's talking about everybody.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Everyone.
that's true. Yeah,
No, at the Capitol, the amount of people who marched there, I'm talking probably at least 100,000 people, at least.
And how many?
And
how many feds do you?
yeah. How many feds do you think you would need to pull that off? If you're devil's advocate, you were trying to do this.
Well, the FBI lost count and can't tell you. So
Yeah,
how am I supposed to?
I wonder.
The whole thing
Right?
was a glowy op.
Hundreds.
And it really makes you. It kind of harkens to this like idea that like, oh, every protest has feds in it, right? Like every big protest.
It makes you look back at the summer of 2020.
Yeah, you remember the
Definitely.
summer of love in 2020, right? And the Minneapolis riots, especially, but specifically, there's a video of guys walking up in masks that weren't part of the crowd, and like saying, "Hey, we got to go burn this down," and like defacing property and stuff. And then the crowd's like, "Hey, stop doing that. We're not here to do that." And then the random piles of bricks that just showed up. Like all over the streets.
Everybody's seen the umbrella guys. That's the
guy I'm talking about.
Yeah, the umbrella. What city was that?
That was Minneapolis.
That was Minneapolis.
That was in Minneapolis. Yeah.
Can we talk about the size of that crowd?
In which one? Minneapolis?
No, DC.
Oh, the DC.
That 100,000 number really puts it into perspective.
Yeah, it was a lot of people.
Like I can picture that because I was at the NFL draft, and that's like the size of the crowd that was there.
Yeah, dude.
That crowd could have burned down half of Kansas City in an afternoon.
Yeah, and no weapons.
They wanted them to do this, right?
Yeah.
So this is what they wanted to happen. So I have this running theory that they were hoping one person might set off a pipe bomb, might start burning things. This pipe bomber the day before that set things out, I think that was not a contingency, but we're hoping things happen because we can strategically start popping things off to encourage more riots in DC. And that's why I found this guy.
There's not enough DC cops to handle 100,000 people, dude. There's no way. If 100,000 people showed up for an insurrection on January 6th, the insurrection would have been successful. Period.
Our hotel got locked down, so the entire city got locked down. But our hotel that I went back to, we got back and we were singing the national anthem. All of us were out in the hallways. A balcony. We stayed in NBC Suites, so it's kind of it's a big circular rotunda, and everyone's out there singing the national anthem. Right? They announced they're shutting us down. The hotel staff pulled the fire alarm because they were so afraid that we were as we're singing the national anthem.
Wow.
Absolute just bizarre.
That's well, hey, it's
an extremist activity.
Yeah, it's extremist activity. You can't be a real American if you're singing the national anthem, dude. You know what I mean? You got to be a terrorist at that point.
Yep.
I had I didn't really have feel like I had any sort of concrete understanding of January 6th.
Yeah.
Before that, with that number, yeah, it was not an insurrection.
They could have sacked all of DC.
Oh my gosh!
They could have overrun the White House.
Yes.
Now, this is what also is interesting. So most of the violence, 90% of the violence you see, 95, I'll go higher. 95% are outside the building. They are outside the building.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I saw the amount of violence you would see at a football game. At the end of a football game, when the home team gets trounced, that's what I saw.
Now, also,
angry fans.
All of that footage that you've seen, these are not Capitol cameras. These are people with phones taking footage. These are body cams. We don't actually see camera footage from the Capitol of what's going on outside. So I'm assuming a lot of this footage is either from bad actors, right? We need you to be here. This is where we're going to be. Why don't we see what's going on inside? Why is all of that stuff hidden? Because there was no violence inside.
Yeah,
I'll
never forget the only Capitol camera footage that I've seen released, at least in the beginning, was the first couple of guys inside that with the one cop kind of backing up, and it looked scary, right? Like there was all these people started flooding in, and there's the one cop backing up, and the guys kind of yelling at him, and then that's the only footage they showed. That's it.
I think he's running for office now. Actually,
the guy who first one in the building,
led all
the QAnon shaman.
No, not Jacob Chansley. You mean? No, he is running for office.
Yeah, I know
he's also running Libertarian Party actually in a Republican district.
Yeah, in Arizona.
He's going to turn that place blue. Yeah,
he's in Arizona.
He's going to turn that district blue.
Oh, I'm a libertarian, so
we're all libertarians.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Here's my thing. We talk about this a lot on the show, but people are like, "Don't you feel bad that you might be handing the win to the Democrats?" And I'm like, no, because I don't like the Republicans either. You know what I mean? Like, I'm from a Democrat-controlled city, and I know that within the next 5 to 10 years, I'm from a Democrat-controlled state, really. And I know that in the next 5 to 10 years, that state is going to completely crumble, and the only people left to pick up those pieces are going to be people who are absolutely fed up with the way that it was run. So, I hate to be a doomer black-pilled guy, but I am a little doomer black-pilled, right?
We haven't hit rock bottom yet.
Yeah, and I
think it's necessary.
Yeah, I don't think this specific couple of generations that are alive today are never ever going to change anything, in my opinion, because it's just not bad enough yet.
No, this is why I will not announce who I'm voting for and who I'm supporting. I won't do it because I think so many people are stuck in, well, no, no, there is not a single president, single candidate. I apologize on your running.
That's okay. That's okay.
There is not a single candidate that is running that will fix what has been done. This is a generational issue. And until we start about what it means to raise families and be honest to our children and there for our families, to make the hard sacrifices, we're not going to be okay. We aren't. This is a generational issue.
Well, this is why
you're just waiting on the population collapse, basically.
Well, and this is why my platform's a little different than other presidential candidates in that I put a heavy emphasis on family. Of course, I'm a family guy, but I talk a lot about this on the show. I've talked about this on Timcast and stuff too. But I have a platform plank that says we're gonna on day one get rid of Title 40 of the Social Security Act, because since Ford signed that into law and we started subsidizing states for separating families, we've seen fatherless homes increase tenfold. With 1 in 4 children are from a fatherless home, and with that, we've seen violent youth offenders tenfold. We've seen runaway homeless youth tenfold. We've seen school dropouts tenfold. So, like, the basis of all that's wrong with our society today. Everybody will say, well, it's the Federal Reserve, or it's the warfare state, or it's this, or it's that. And I don't disagree. Like, those are all issues that are very important. The Federal Reserve is Satan. I mean, it is the American Satan. It is the part of the puzzle that keeps us in perpetual warfare. Right. And we're not the good guys anymore. Like, that's the other thing that people need to understand. Like, if we ever were since the Revolutionary War.
If we ever were.
At least since the Revolutionary War, if we ever were, we are no longer the good guys. And you can look at our foreign policy right now today, what's going on in the Middle East. We've already started bombing again in Iraq for a third time. We're back there. This is since 1988, y'all. Okay. We're talking going on 40 fucking years of war in Iraq, and you're going to tell me we're the good guys? We're not the good guys anymore, dude. I'm sorry. Yeah, our foreign policy is absolute trash, and I understand that the Federal Reserve is the biggest part of that, and that's why I'm such a big Bitcoin advocate, because I think it's the Civil War. That's the Civil War. The Bitcoin is taking the money from the state and putting it back in our power. Yeah. But I will tell you this: the biggest, and I don't care what anybody says, I'll argue this till the cows come home. The biggest problem we face in America today is the absolute destruction of strong family units, dude. Because the government did this on purpose. And Yuri Bezmenov warned us about this when he came over, when he defected from Russia, and said the communists are coming over here. They're going to get into your institutions. They're going to break up the family unit. They're going to do everything they can to make you destitute and relying on the federal government. And he was right. And they've done it. And they're doing it. And it gets worse every day. And if you can't, step up and, like, we've adopted kids, right? Like, people that I'm pro-life, and people are always like, yeah, and people are always like, oh, you're pro-life, I bet you won't adopt kids. And I'm like, I actually got 2 adopted kids, you fucks. And how many have you adopted? And so, yeah, we got 2, and of course it was a kinship adoption. They were my oldest daughter's younger siblings that were going to go to foster care, and we were able to get them and give them the life that they deserved that they had never had. Awesome. But there's nothing in the world that the federal government especially fears more than a nation of strong families, because you're not relying on the government anymore. You're a self-thinker, a self-starter, probably a lot of homeschooling going on. You know what I mean?
The term I think you're searching for is generational wealth.
Yeah, that too.
When you have a strong family, you have the ability to create generational wealth, and you cannot make change without wealth. That is just in a capitalist society, you need wealth to make meaningful, impactful, lasting change.
Well, and to take
When
it
you
into
destroy, go ahead.
take it into a religious aspect too, because I'm a faithful follower of Jesus Christ, and I believe in the Lord, and I think that that's a really important part of our society here in the United States as well. And I believe that the destruction of faith in the United States has really lended a hand to the communist takeover of this.
Absolutely. Fun
But-
fact.
Yes.
But hold on, but I
Real
want to
quick.
say, because he brings up generational wealth, it's generational wealth versus generational curses, right? Like, and my wife talks about this a lot. Generational curses, you get on this roll, right? And
Sins of the father.
yeah, sins of the father,
Yeah.
sins of the mother. You get on this roll, right? And we saw it real big, and a lot of this is the federal government's fault with, like I said, Title 40 of the Social Security Act, where they started incentivizing states to separate families. They're paying states to separate families and family law. The crack epidemic that we know 100% that the federal government started. If we could get an entire generation of black males hooked on crack, they're never going to be good fathers ever again.
I
It's
don't
over.
understand. This is so frustrating to me. How the black community can vote for Joe Biden when he is not solely responsible, but heavily responsible for imprisoning an entire generation of fathers who were addicted to crack cocaine.
He's the worst. He's
While
one of the worst.
While his son
Is smoking
has
crack.
not spent any time in prison for smoking crack cocaine.
Yeah, I don't think
Help me
people.
recognize two things.
Well, I don't think people really understand the depth of the tough on crime bills that Joe Biden was a part of. I don't think people understand the depth of that. I mean, we're talking, him and Clinton had a big hand in all this as well. And these were the people, Joe Biden very clearly in the news said he didn't want his kids living in a racial jungle, right? And
Bill likes him, young Clinton.
yeah, well, and the Clintons calling them all super predators, and like you don't see what these people do, we'll take it back to the president, John F. Kennedy's vice president became the president after JFK was shot.
I don't know.
Why am I drawing a blank on it?
What?
Johnson?
LBJ.
LBJ.
It's widely known that in a backroom conversation, loud enough for many even reporters to hear, that wasn't recorded, he said, "I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 100 years." Okay.
Nixon, I saw a documentary on him, and they were talking about how he was a paranoid man, always looking over his shoulder and all these things. Like, well, I would be paranoid too if your people just shot the last one.
Yeah, I keep telling people like my candidacy is more about like changing the national narrative as it is, trying to get elected, because we're not going to get elected. I'm running as a third party libertarian. I'm pretty not well known, but we have a good platform, and we've put out some good media, and we've done some big shows, and so I'm trying to use that platform that's growing to change the conversation about a lot of things, right?
Yes.
But I have said that if it ever gained enough traction to where we started looking like we were going to be a competitor that would make it into the national debates, I wouldn't be taking any drop top limo rides down any streets in Dallas. You know what I mean? Because I know this is how the government is. If I gain some real traction here, the CIA's coming after me, dude.
The duffel bag shows up.
Huh?
The duffel bag shows up.
Oh yeah, that's the first step.
That's the first thing.
First step.
I think the CIA is clever. I think the federal agencies are far more clever about their tyranny than they used to be. And so they would find a way to destroy you that isn't killing you.
No, they would
They're
find me. No, listen,
they're
they would
trying
find
with
me.
Trump.
They would find me in the pond behind my house with a 2-shot suicide to the back of my head, dude.
Yep.
Or you
couple
would drown
floaties
in
on your arms.
4 foot water.
Yep.
Yeah, drown in 4 feet of water at Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
Or
Put some floaties on them.
They would trump up charges, or unsavory material would suddenly appear on your
that
hard
happens
drive.
too, yeah. And that's what happened to Cody from Defense Unlimited too, right? Like he put out we talked about this on the last show. He put out all of these blueprints for 3D printed guns. He said, "Here you go, the debate's over. Gun debate's over. You can print an AR-15 in your basement right now for $350."
The catalog.
Air guns. Air guns actually have you seen these? Looked into these? So they actually have guns now that are done with PSI. So basically like bullets, like they're not real bullets, but they're bullets. These things have better terminal velocity and impact power than 9mm. I will send you some videos, and they're not regulated at all.
You know about this yet, AJ?
Air guns?
Air
It's
guns.
air?
Compressed air.
Oh, yeah, but how many shots do you get before the little?
It's one.
Crush?
It is.
It's a one-shot thing.
One.
Yeah,
it is one.
It's a
But
good
I
boot.
mean,
It'd be a good boot
it's
gun.
just started. It's
It'd be a
just
good boot
started.
gun. Yeah.
I'm a carpenter. I'm telling you, my nail gun, I can fire off 16, 17 across a couple of seconds. So all it needs is just some better pneumatic engineering, and it'll be just as good as an AR.
Speaking of, we've seen some shots of the inside of your house around Christmas time. Beautiful house,
What's
by
that?
the way.
Thank you.
I said we've seen some shots of the inside of your house around Christmas time. You posted online. And I saw somebody say something about firing your interior decorator, and you saying that it was actually your wife that did the interior.
Oh no, it's actually me. I built the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I was going to ask. If you, because now decorating aside, the carpentry looked really nice in your home, like really nice. You did that.
Thanks. I did. Yeah. So we had a flood of a couple of years before COVID, and the insurance didn't want to pay us, so we had to get a private adjuster or a public adjuster to come in and tell them, hey, you told us it's not money, won't give it to us. COVID hit, courts wouldn't see. So we actually lived in a house that was halfway falling apart, half of a kitchen, flooded, flooring torn up, holes in the ceiling. Finally got paid out, but it was 3 years later. And then all the prices for construction materials went up.
And
So the number we settled with, exactly. So like, well, I guess I can't hire a contractor. So I just rebuilt the whole house myself.
Holy shit!
That's something I've always wanted to do. I talk about that because I started in trade work at like 14 or 15 years old. I was going to school 1 day a week and then digging trenches 4 days a week, and then I became a framer, and then I became a finish carpenter, and then I got into like big time boilers and electric or electrician stuff, and then I became a maintenance facility guy, and then I became a maintenance director of facilities, and now I'm a critical facilities engineer, and I just worked my way up from literally digging trenches in high school. And but I've always, I always say, I'm like, I could do all the plumbing, I could do all the framing, I could do most of the finish work, I could do almost all of the electric work. It's like I could really build us a house, dude. That would be kind of fun. And so it's got to be such a good feeling.
It is, and honestly, like it's built the right way because I built it.
Yeah, you know what you want.
Yeah, but I went through physics too, so I know all the amperes and ohms and all these things, so I can wire things and do math. Yeah, so it's good. Turned out well. I actually built my office that I'm sitting in now.
Is it wainscoting that you got on there in the walls and stuff?
It is. It's actually a lot of things. So it's like custom built-in shelving and lots of crown molding.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous.
Lots of stuff. There's like a bay window and.
Yeah, you'll have to see the pictures of.
Good job, dude.
You'll have to see the pictures of. You gotta see the pictures of the living area when around Christmas time, dude. I was jealous. I was like, wow, that's a really pretty house, dude. That's really.
It's a 12-foot fireplace that I built. It's got granite hearth and mantle. It's it's a lot. It's a lot. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Very gorgeous.
Awesome.
So we're speaking a little bit about the Bidens. I don't know if anybody caught the clip yet, but Hunter Biden's in a
I saw it.
Yeah, Hunter Biden's in a congressional hearing.
Yep.
And Marjorie
MTG.
MGD.
She's licking her lips, man.
She goes, Mr. Speaker, I'd like my time now. And he gets up and leaves.
Bounced.
Literally takes off in the middle of a congressional
tapped his
hearing.
buddy.
Yeah.
Where's with a lawyer buddy? He taps his buddy and he's like, we're leaving.
We're leaving.
He's got people to see and crack to smoke.
And I'm telling you,
that was the lawyer that was smoking pot on his balcony in California. Right? That's the same guy?
Same guy, yes. And so he up and just takes off. I mean, out just immediately.
A congressional hearing in progress.
In progress. I mean, we're talking, this is pretty big time shit. I mean, you could face some like big time criminal stuff there.
I don't think he gives a shit.
I don't think he does either, dude.
No. Is he the
like,
peak alpha male?
What?
He just
is he like
does
peak
cocaine
alpha
in the
male
White House.
behavior? Just Congress is talking about you. You're just like, I got better things to do. And walk.
No. I don't see it that way. No, I think he is broken. I think he sees the end. He sees what's coming. He's like, I'm done. What are they gonna do to me?
I don't think anything's gonna happen to him, dude. That's
maybe
my biggest concern.
I think nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah,
nothing.
I think until his dad's out of office.
I don't think he cares.
I think he's okay until his dad's out of office.
Listen to me.
Republicans don't do anything.
No, that's the
problem.
problem.
They don't do anything.
Amen.
Like, what are they gonna do?
That's the problem, right? It's and we
have a committee.
I think
eventually.
Who said it? I can't remember who said it, but he says Conservatives are just progressives driving.
Michael Malice.
Michael Malice, yeah.
Driving the speed limit.
Yeah, they're just
I
progressives
like
driving.
Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's true. And that's why, one of the reasons I opted out of the Republican Party in what, 08, 09 after Ron Paul, because I watched the way that they treat my values and my morals, right?
Yep.
And so I just took off. I was done. Hey, Heath Long, thanks for the $20 super chat. Says Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. That's
Happy
their
New Year,
5th
buddy.
super chat on one of our live
Wait,
streams.
that's not Heath Long?
No. But here's the thing. So this is funny because this is such a weird, paradoxical situation, right? We have a gentleman on our show right now, spent 75 days in a federal prison for picking up a lectern and taking a funny picture and walking around the Capitol. We just had a gentleman walk out mid-congressional hearing, okay? Walk out of the room and decline to answer any more questions, okay? Walks out in the middle of this congressional hearing, and I guarantee you he's not going to see a single criminal fine.
Dude, this dude throws serialized firearms in alleys and just walks away. Like, fuck it.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy to me.
I gotta find this tweet. It's from Magills, Magills. What did he say? I won't quote him exactly, but he said, "This is the first time in Hunter Biden's life where he's walked away from a blonde who's trying to screw him over."
That's good. I like that one a lot. That's true. That's probably true.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This he's obviously a pedophile. I'm positive that his father's a pedophile. I'm positive that they're surrounded by Epstein level pedophiles.
Yes.
And we're paying our tax money to these people, dude. That's what kills me the most, right?
They don't have a single arrest made from Epstein, but I think we're approaching 1,300 arrests from January 6th. They could find people who were just standing around. Like, I knock the FBI, but I don't discredit them. They are very good at their jobs. If they want to find you, they will find you. How the hell have we arrested 2 people with one of the largest sex trafficking operations, and we don't have a single person who has been prosecuted by the Department of Justice for sleeping with children?
There's a very easy, like, Occam's razor answer to this. Okay?
Oh, I know what it is.
It's very easy. It's the most powerful people in the world are the pedophiles that were on Epstein's mansion and on his island, and they're telling the FBI, "Hey, listen, if you prosecute anybody, you're fucked." That's it. Yep. That's exactly what it is. It is the simplest answer. The simplest answer.
Cowards at prosecutorial levels within the Department of Justice, the FBI, thinking the 60, 70 grand a year that I make takes care of my family. My kids aren't being raped, but it's fine if those are. I won't get in the way of that. That's what it is. They're cowards. They are cowards. And I can't sit by and watch that happen. Sorry, won't do it ever. Ever. Not going to happen.
In any civil society, a focus needs to be put on the protection of children. Has to be.
Yes.
Has to be. Especially fundamentally, especially if you have a government, okay? You know what I mean? We're not living in mud huts and like some Aborigine tribe that's never seen the outside world. We're living in a civilized society that has a centralized authority that's supposed to protect the individual rights of everybody. And that includes children, and especially the rights of children, which are to be safe from pedophiles and murderers and these kinds of contextual like crimes.
People in tunnels.
Oh, jeez. Oh, we haven't even got to the Jew tunnels yet. We'll get there. Don't worry. And so it's such a fundamentally like evil thing to know that we have a government that A, participates in these crimes. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And B, refuses to go out and get the justice that these children deserve for these crimes because either they or their friends or their family or their boss were involved in these things. And so, like, who's the one that's going to go out there and get the justice for these kids? Who's going to do it?
This is what pisses me off. It's like all of those people, I expect corrupt people on their way up to do corrupt things. Because it's what they're aiming for, right? These people are narcissists, and they're gonna do horrible things. What pisses me off is the people who support them because they toe a party line. I'm starting a charity, and I build little lecterns. I auction them off, and the money goes to kids.
I love it.
They go to kids, right? That's it. I have one here. It's There we go.
A kid?
We gotta get one. I gotta get one. I'm gonna order one because we're gonna need one for the
Yeah.
set.
Oh,
I do keep a nice bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's up there as an ode to the Zuck, and then I have my Hotter Than the Sun Scott Horton's hot sauce that's autographed by him. We're gonna need an autographed lectern for the show, please. So.
Yes.
Well, I auction these off. All of the money, like I actually pay for all the supplies. They all go to kids. We bought Christmas for kids. We raised like $2,000, right?
Nice.
You drop in a bucket, but a couple of families had Christmas. And the left hates what I'm doing, even though it's for kids who had no say in this.
Well, the left hates children. I mean, that's the thing. That's
Yes.
the thing. That's the thing that we need that we
That's
don't
what
talk
pisses
about.
me
enough.
off.
Yeah, we don't talk about it enough. Like
Mhm.
the left acts like they're the most compassionate political ideology in the world, but it's not
Yep.
true. They are the most evil, and they hate children. They want you to be able to kill
Yep.
your children at will. Okay, they think that anybody who I mean, I regularly get told that I'm probably an evil person for adopting children, dude. Like adopting children that were living in a car for the last 4 years, that came to me with super lice that they had for 4 years, that we had to take to a clinic to have them removed. That's how bad it was. They were malnourished. They were going to go to foster care. God knows what would have happened to them in foster care.
Yeah.
And I, I saw the opportunity to say, okay, well, those are my oldest daughter's siblings. I don't want her separated from them. I'm sure that it's important to her and important to them because they're much younger than her, that that she's in their life. Let's do what we can to get them. And I've been told that, it's probably, well, that's a narcissism complex, or you're just doing it for the money, or I'm like, we've never been paid $1, a single fucking dollar.
I don't care.
Yeah, we couldn't.
It's not about that.
We could not get Medicare for them. Okay, they're like, we have never gotten a single dollar. Everything has been out of fucking pocket since we've adopted them.
Yep.
And I have the leftists telling me that I'm an evil narcissist for adopting 2 children. Okay, these people hate kids. They don't want anybody prosecuted that was a huge pedophile going, on Epstein Island. They don't care. They think it's all a conspiracy theory. They want you to be able to murder your children. They and then we see, like, these parents that constantly get arrested for, like, neglect and shit, for killing children, and they're always big fat leftists, like, every time, right? Like every single time, dude.
You have the Chelsea Handler vibe too, where she posts these TikToks.
That's the whole other part of it too, right?
I could do all this because I don't have kids.
That's the whole other part too. Is there's like this whole movement of people that are like, oh, we're happy childless marriage, and
they're
you're like,
called anti-natalists.
It's this weird dark projection thing where, like,
so
you're
weird.
like, well, why do you have to tell us that if you're so happy that you didn't have kids?
Why are you trying to convince? Are you trying to convince me? Or you're trying to convince them, right?
They're trying to convince themselves.
Well, here's the thing, and I always come back to the same point, dude. Like that's cool if you don't want to have a legacy, right? But, like, I want my kids to remember me. I don't want them to pass down stories of me to my grandkids and my great grandkids. And I don't want to die alone. Hello. I don't want to be a 60, 70, 80-year-old man and drop dead on my kitchen floor and have my cats eat me, dude, right? Like, that's not how I want to go out, bro. Like, I want my family to be around my bed. I want to make sure everybody's okay. And I want to leave, wealth to my children and make sure that they can leave wealth to their children. And I want that to be handed down. And that's a legacy, dude, right? Like, people are like, oh yeah, legacy, whatever. I'm like, that's a fucking legacy. That's you leaving a legacy to a child that you brought into the world. There's nothing more beautiful than that. And I'll tell you, in your life, not your wife, not your mom, nobody in the world gives you a better, pure, unconditional love than your children do. Period. Yep. It does not matter who it is in this world. No one loves you as much as that little child loves you, especially dads do. It's so fucking important, especially as a dad. And I've learned this so much with my 3 little, because we have 3 that are 3 and under. Right. I
remember when.
Yeah. And we also have 12, 11, 9, and 6. And then we have 3, almost 2, and newborn. Right. But the 3-year-old and the almost 2-year-old are little boys. And every day, my 3-year-old does something that he saw me do. Every day, dude. Every day. And it doesn't matter if I've had a bad day at work and I'm trying to be the best dad I can, and I'm a little upset and I'm a little frustrated, and maybe I raised my voice a little too much. It doesn't matter what I did. It doesn't matter. He is in love with me. Absolutely. You will never have a better love than the love of your own children. So why the fuck do you think that you're going to be happy at 70 years old as an old person alone in your apartment with your cats without kids? Go have kids. Stop being an idiot and go have fucking kids, dumbass. What do you think, Lectern guy? How do you feel about this?
Well, I've got 5 sons.
Oh yeah,
so
you had all boys. I forgot about that.
Yeah, all boys. Yeah, ranging from 8 until God, he'll be 17 in a couple weeks. I actually miss his birthday. It's gonna be sad, but we're making up for it. I don't know. I've done a lot in my life. I've learned a lot of trades. I've learned a lot of skills. I've done college. I'm married for 13 years, but there is nothing better than watching your kids grow up and exercise themselves as good people, you know? And it's because they emulate, they mimic, they are the person that you are. And to watch them grow up, meet the people that they are, it gives me confidence that I did a good job. And these kids, they have empathy, they have sympathy, but they can also, do jujitsu and change a tire.
Nice.
So
yes.
they're good kids, man. They are.
Well, I think it's funny because the left frequently tells me, "Oh, your kids are going to grow up and vote socialist." Like, no, they're not. No, they're not.
Sure,
you know why? Because I'm not doing what you're doing to your kids. I'm not using them as a gender prop, right? Like I talk to my children about these very serious political issues when they ask me about them.
Yeah.
Right, like my son came home, and like I've talked about on the show. Sometimes my son came home and was like, "Hey, Dad, they're saying the Civil War was over slavery. Is that true?" And I'm like, sit down, son. Let's have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
There's some other things at play there, right? Yeah. And like I said, he came to me. He's like, "Dad, there's a gay group on campus, and there's no straight group. Would you get mad at me if I started a straight group?" And I'm like, "Hell no, I wouldn't." You know what I mean? Like, and so he's like, "Well, what if I get in trouble at school?" "Well, you tell those people that got you in trouble to give me a call. We'll have a talk about equality," But
exactly.
I don't force the shit on them. I don't beat it in their head. I don't say you're gonna grow up and be a libertarian, and like I talk to them about these very serious situations in a way that they can understand. First of all, because I'm not trying to throw a Murray Rothbard book at my 12-year-old and be like, "Read this." Although. Sure. The last time he got in a lot of trouble, I made him read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, and he had to write me a short summary on every chapter and then why that rule was important in life. And I never in the world thought he'd do it. I said, if you're grounded for 40 days, if you can do this, I'll let you off grounding as soon as you're done with it. And he did it in like 12 days, right?
Yep.
And he's like, "Dad, this is a really book. Like this is all really important stuff, And I
read both in prison.
Yeah, well, and that's like one of my proud, like frowning, like shining moments as a father, because I never expected that I was going to get my 12-year-old to sit down and read an entire Jordan Peterson book, and I
didn't see that coming. I thought he was going to be like, "What do you mean by rules?"
Yeah, and he didn't just read it; he wrote a summary of every chapter to showcase that he read it and understood it. And then wrote another paragraph about why it was important for his life. I never in my wildest dreams thought that was going to happen. And that's just such a good thing. But like, I didn't force it on him either. I gave him the option. You can read this if you want to get off grounded early. You know what I mean? So,
well, there are 3 things that happen there. Oh, there are 3 things that happen there, right? Well, Jordan Peterson, I called him out today, so we'll get to that.
As you should. He should be called out right now, but I get it.
Yeah. So there are 3 things there, right? One, there is the reward of being dumb and disciplined. There is the reward of learning. There's also the reward of doing something that you've instructed him to do so he can have relatedness with you. So you're harping on 3 things that encourage relationship, and that's why it's so successful. Boys that you're raising, sons you're raising, they need direction. They want direction. If a father says this is a good thing to do, and they give them the work, right? They don't sit there and do it for them and make them watch. No, this is the work. Go do it. Boys want to become men. They really, really do. Give them work to do. Let them free. Let them show you I can do this thing. And you did all those things. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a really good, and he knew how important. I think that's a very, even though I'm kind of at a point with Peterson where I'm like, really, man, what happened to you? The whole conning thing is going down in flames for me.
He came out against the Defranzor Inc. Defranzor memes, DREFANZOR.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He had this AOC talking about bringing in migrants because they're going to be voters. It's a joke, right? And he has Alex Stein in the picture in the background. Well, Wall Street tweets this thing, right? Quotes it. Holy cow, this is hilarious. It's obviously a joke. Jordan Peterson gets hold of it and says, this is so dangerous, we shouldn't be doing this, and whoever did this should be criminally charged for the highest crimes. And I'm sitting there and said, well, this is art. And you seem to be very Canadian in this point because you want people to be arrested for speaking and to have art, because this is art.
Well, he got really Canadian about anonymous accounts as well on social media. Do you remember that? He started saying that all
Nikki
anonymous
Haley moment.
Yeah, all anonymous accounts should be removed. It's like, dude, you know, some people want to keep their fucking jobs.
So,
Jordan Peterson.
Do you know his reasoning behind that?
I'm sure it was gay, but go ahead.
Okay, so there
Especially if you're gonna explain it to us. But go ahead.
There were studies that showed people who are anonymous online are more likely to exhibit the dark triad behavior traits, and so they're more likely to be narcissistic, psychopathic, and Machiavellian. So his ill-formed idea was that
Machiavelli's pretty smart,
if you
if you ask me.
removed anonymity, you would remove the ability for people to be so horrible. And I don't know if anyone's experienced people being horrible to them online more than Jordan Peterson has with the left.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, you're up there.
Oh, shit.
You're up there.
Well, I will say hello. I will say this. Before you explained that to me, I said it was probably going to be gay, and lo and behold, it was very gay.
I don't agree with
Extremely
him, but I can understand the thought process of coming to that conclusion.
Yeah.
It's just short-sighted.
It is birthed out of the silencing of information and the silencing of voices, right? So nothing just spontaneously occurs. There's always some fodder, that starts a movement. These anon accounts that come up, it's because, well, maybe they were silenced before, or maybe they have some personal loss in their life. But they're anonymous because, to Josh's point, they're afraid of losing their jobs because we are this far. These anon accounts, they exist because of where we are. And I think that if we allowed people to speak freely, you wouldn't have these accounts anymore. But because there is so much censorship, right? And my page, I have like 51,000 followers now. I've blocked maybe 10 people because I want my page to be the entire expanse of Twitter, right? Or X. Come say what you want to say. I'm not going to block you. Because I think it's important to see who people are. It's important to see what they say so you can draw conclusions. I either agree with this person or I don't. The second you shut them down, how do you know?
I have like 400 to 500 of those porn bot accounts blocked now.
The one that keeps posting
every single time I make a post, one of them pops up and goes, "What do you think about these?" And it's a hidden image, and I immediately hit hide, reply, block immediately. I don't look at them or anything because I'm like a happily married man.
I do,
and I'm
very friendly,
bro. I have an Italian wife, okay, and I'm not trying to die in my sleep.
I interact.
I want to be. I'd like to become an old man and watch my kids grow up, and I have a 5 foot even Italian wife. Okay, it's scary.
I always comment though.
Scary around here, bro. I know you do.
I just send back like a picture of Chris eating an ice cream cone, like I'm ready.
That's good.
I commented if it's a real person.
I used to get political spam texts, and every time I would get one, I would send back the most vile meme I had, and they stopped.
Nikki Haley's been blowing up my phone. I know she wants it to be the Gaza Strip, but yeah.
Oh, jeez. That was a good joke. I'll put that one in the stand-up. I'm gonna put that one in the stand-up.
Okay, we got to talk about the Jew tunnels.
Okay, Jew tunnels? Okay, we're getting to the end of this thing. We'll do the Jew tunnels, and then we'll end on Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, you really wanted to talk
I really wanted
about
to talk about the new Star Wars franchise that they're trying to set up and how the new woman director has decided her whole goal with Star Wars is to make men uncomfortable. And I just want to let her know that the Star Wars franchise made men uncomfortable in the 90s when they put out the prequels. It's too late, lady. Yeah. It's over. Mm-hmm. It got real uncomfortable the first second Jar Jar Binks came on screen.
Jar Jar Binks is one of my top 5
Star
Wars characters. I love him. No, he's one of my favorites.
Oh, I knew it. Hold on. Get out. You're out. You're out of here, buddy.
Bye-bye. When I saw the Phantom Menace.
We
was
Jar
Jar Binks?
Yeah, you can't come on the show.
Jar Jar Binks. I love Jar Jar Binks.
One of your favorite characters.
Yes, I love Jar Jar Binks, unironically.
So 4, 5, and 6 is actually ahead of its time because it was doing sibling porn before it actually really took off
True. It's true. Yeah.
in the 20s.
Stepbrother, what are you doing?
Stepbrother, what are you doing? That was way before Pornhub, dude. You're gone, dude. You got to get off the show. You can't be here anymore. Jar Jar Binks is objectively one of the worst characters in the entire Star Wars franchise.
You couldn't if you made Jar Jar Binks for a movie next year, it wouldn't. They'd
wouldn't
be
work.
like, no, we're cutting it.
They'd be like, yeah, cut that.
It was the
whole
Yoko Ono.
Here's
of
the
Beatles.
thing.
Yes, yeah.
If they put Jar Jar Binks in this next Star Wars film, I promise you would be a hit. Because
No.
my generation would go out in droves.
No.
If they teased him as a Sith Lord, absolutely.
No.
I'd be
Trying to
happy with
destroy
the
Star
cameo
Wars.
where he's like carbon frozen in the background.
Yeah, that'd be all right. I'd be all right with that. As long as I didn't have to
Like, it's-
hear him
Yeah,
at all. No
no
voice.
voice, no
Zero voice. And it was objectively one of the worst parts about the entire saga, dude. I can't believe this. Your favorite
I was
rapper,
a literal
listen,
child
okay, listen.
when it came out,
listen,
and he was the
listen.
haha funny
Okay.
man.
Shush. Listen. Your favorite rapper is XX Tension. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't
I have
say
to.
the
I have
guy's
to
name
remember that I
right.
have to take everything that you say with a grain of salt, dude. I have to because
Okay, I'm the oldest guy in the room.
Yeah.
Jar Jar
by
Binks
like a
is-
year.
By okay,
relax.
Jar Jar Binks is the same voice as Darwin the Dolphin in Sequest DSV. Just
I've
so
never
you know.
heard of
He's
that.
never heard of
That's a talk.
Oh, that's an old video game, like a
Yeah.
super old one. Like,
Really
is
old,
that-
yeah.
No.
That's
Sequest
Super
DSV
Nintendo?
was a show with Jonathan Brandis. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, that's
Echo
right.
the Dolphin. That was Sega.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah,
have you
Echo
ever,
the
hold
Dolphin.
on.
No,
Have you
this
guys
is
ever
Darwin
seen,
the Dolphin
have you ever
like
seen this conspiracy
Darwin.
theory? Have you ever seen? They say that Adam Kokesh is Jonathan Brandis. That Jonathan Brandis faked his death and came back as Adam Kokesh. There's like legit YouTube channels like dedicated to this, like proving that it's the same person by their teeth and
Mhm.
everything, dude. It's crazy.
I got to do my own research.
Yeah, you got to do it when you
I got to
get
do my
off.
own research.
Okay,
on that, but
let's talk about the
Michelle
Jew tunnels,
Obama's actually Tupac.
dude. Yeah, well, Michelle Obama's a man.
Big Mike.
Big Mike. We
Big
know.
Mike.
We know that here on this show. We're not afraid to say it. Okay. Listen, I'm not now, nor have I ever been suicidal.
It's the teeth for me.
Yeah, it's the shoulders and the swinging dick for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big Mike's hung.
Teeth.
I've
It's the
never
fact
even
that
spoken about my wife
on-
and called her a dude's name twice.
Yeah, on accident.
on that happened on my college campus. I was like 200 feet away or something when that happened.
That-
I was in the
called you
You
music.
yelled the
hall.
N-word at some people 20 feet away.
He was 20 feet away yelling the N-word at a bunch of black girls. Jeez,
Wow.
dude.
No, it wasn't black girls that
It
was yelling
He's
at.
like,
It
I
was-
was racist for
It was
3
white
hours
girls.
once.
It was
White
white
girls.
girls, and they
Oh,
deserved,
yeah.
they deserved it. They should have white guilt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I did it to the football team as well.
Oh.
So 6'7", 320-pound man walks in.
Iowa football team?
What? No, Drake.
Mike, what is
Drake.
How do you pronounce
And
it?
they're just crying of laughter because I cannot intimidate these fuckers.
Okay. We are at an hour and 30 minutes now. We did an hour and 30 minutes. Now.
Jesus.
But we got to talk about the Jew tunnels, dude. Okay.
Yes.
This is the most bizarre thing that I think in the entire news cycle for the last week.
Correct.
It's not even just bizarre. It's like so far. It's like the memes have come to life, right? And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and like this is just crazy. And then like there's a dude at the ADL, right, that saw the
And just
Jewish
started
guy. No, that
sobbing.
saw the Jewish guy popping out of the sewer grate and just chucked his computer across the room.
He
God,
probably
damn.
quit.
he had to quit on the spot.
He's like, or at least clocked out for the day. We're fucking done.
Yeah, we're done. We're out of here.
This is New York, right? This is
Yes.
New York. It's happening
Yes.
in.
Yeah,
Okay, so grain of salt. It is New York, right?
right.
A lot of crazy stuff happens there. Are we sure these aren't like Harriet Tubman tunnels?
No, they're
So,
boarded. They were
apparently
built
it
in the
getting
last.
people out of
between a
universities.
synagogue and a bathhouse.
No,
owned by
the
that
bathhouse is a
synagogue.
rumor. It actually
There's
goes.
3 different narratives.
It
for
goes
this
to
about
a.
what they are.
I
There
saw
are
the
3
map.
narratives.
I saw the map of the tunnel, and it goes from the synagogue to the children's museum.
Anecdotal.
And there is some video
Anecdotal.
out there that was supposed to be of the tunnel, but I don't think that's real video. I don't think that's really the tunnel. I don't. Think
Where
the
did you
video
get
that
this map?
No.
It's online. They
I
they
didn't-
show that they traced some urban explorers went and found it and traced the tunnel to where it goes. And it,
Oh,
and
shit.
goes
Like a
to
Blair
a
Witch
children's-
thing?
Yeah, like they went in there with a video camera and everything. That's where they found the old dirty high chair. And,
That's a suicide mission.
yeah, some other things. But anyways, so here's my biggest concern about this, right? Like
Your grenades are silver coins.
The Jews at the synagogue were ready to physically fight the police to keep the tunnels.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos are very clear. They were ready to fight the police to keep them out of, which good on you, dude. If you're going to fight police, I'm proud of you.
Why do you think they were fighting the police?
Well, I don't know. But here's the other thing is the city of New York, instead of investigating, just decided, well, we're going to go fill these tunnels in.
Oh, that
was the
part,
request of
that
the
part
owners.
makes sense because it can compromise the structural integrity of the roads or buildings above it.
Yeah.
Right, but it wasn't the police saying that we're going to come fill this in for safety reasons. It was the owner of the synagogue.
Right.
Said,
we're filling it right now. Filling it.
take care of it right now.
Right now.
So that's
Do it
what
right
they-
now.
that's. I think that was what was going on. The owners were saying,
something
"Go
Yeah, they
fill it in."
essentially-
the owner
did
of the
a,
synagogue was like, yeah, it was like some young men in the synagogue.
No,
and
they
I
tried
told
to
them
they tried to
stop,
blame
and
it
they
on
didn't.
rogue young Jewish men.
Yeah.
That just did it without asking or something.
And I
Yeah,
But I'll
can
say
just imagine Donald Trump being the leader of that and just being like, I tried to tell them to stop digging the tunnels, but they didn't listen. They didn't listen. These young rapscallions.
Oh.
They just
beautiful
All
tunnel.
Fauci's
they just
fault.
dug their
You're no-
Jew
Could've fired him.
tunnels.
You're no Shane Gillis, buddy. Don't ever.
I
do the
can do the
Trump-
cadence
Don't ever
a
do the
little
Trump
bit.
impersonation ever again.
I can do the cadence a little bit.
You
I
are
can't
no-
do the voice.
You are
anymore.
no Shane Gillis, my friend. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
So there are tunnels, and they're in the synagogues. Is that correct? Because the narrative that I've heard,
It goes under and next to the synagogue, and the one that they trace goes to the Children's Museum.
so it's in relative proximity of a synagogue, and it goes down, and then it's. Here's what I'm thinking. Why? What is the point of this? Because I've heard the narrative they dug them because during COVID
But
they weren't
were only
allowed to
dug
worship.
6 to 8 months ago.
yeah. They're saying they're not that old.
So I do think that it's a story definitely that we should talk about. And I try not to share things before I know things explicitly to be true. And that usually takes about 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, true.
That's a little out of the news cycle for me there, buddy. But I get it. I
Well,
understand.
the weird angle I heard was that there's a sect of Jews, and they're younger guys, and they believe somebody is a deity. There's like some Jewish guy that died. They don't think he died. They think he's alive, and he's some sort of religious leader, and they want to worship
Jesus?
him. And
Yeah, I was
so
about
they're-
to say, that's just Jesus,
and-
guy.
yeah. So
They're not
they're
doing
down
the Jewish
hiding
thing
under the
very well.
synagogue because they're not allowed to worship him.
At the synagogue.
At the synagogue.
That's
That's one of the narratives I
That's
heard.
really bizarre.
Well, they have Jews for Jesus. They can just go on tour.
There's
They have
very
big
very
tunnels.
few Jews that actually recognize Jesus.
There's also Ezekiel 8. Maybe Josh wants to pull that
No,
up.
I'm good. We're at the end of this thing. We do get some super chats. We got some super chats before we get out of here. The Libertarian Extremist, thanks for the $10 super chat. He said, true, however, people that are at war with the family unit are at war with nature. People with family and children will survive, and these cycles won't exist. Adam, the best speaker ever.
A libertarian extremist. I know your profile. You were always there. Thanks for following me, hanging out.
He works on my campaign. He's awesome.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got
he's
great posts.
I need to
Yeah.
try and get a guy that talks about basically that exact thing. He's my population collapse guy,
Cool.
but I want to try and get him on the show. He's awesome.
Well, between me and Adam over here, we're gonna bring the population back. Don't worry, guys. JC's been a member for 11 months. Thank you, sir. He says, does Adam have any hair care secret?
So I gave up expensive products. There's Big Hair, Big Shampoo. They want you to keep using these products that make your hair overly greasy,
Sure.
and then you keep getting deep conditioning. I actually use Dove 2-in-1. It's like $5 for a giant bottle. Yeah, it's just
Nice.
that. It's just
Damn.
that. Yeah,
I use
and then you
Old
don't
Spice.
put your hair up when it's wet because it actually creates breakage.
I use Old Spice still. I don't give a shit. People are like, you still using Old Spice hair shampoo and body wash? I'm like, yeah, dude, hell yeah. Used to buy that shit when I was right straight out of boot camp in the Navy. You take you to the BX and you can get the big bottles of it for like $1.50.
Oh yeah,
Is either that or that what was that really shitty off-brand soap that you could get in the military?
White Rain,
No, it was worse.
Suave,
No, worse.
worse than White Rain.
Like
Yeah.
Trey Iseme or whatever.
No, Tresemme is
That's
fine.
shitty.
Tresemme. That's actually salon quality
Yeah,
at
Tresemme's not
reasonable
bad.
prices.
No, I'm not
Oh,
gonna remember the name of it.
that's the shittiest shampoo I know of.
Brown Water Squid, $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. He's a Florida guy that I should be seeing soon because I am supposed to next week, and I'm in Jacksonville.
Oh.
And then the weekend after that, I'll be in Conyers, Georgia, as well, all for debates. He says El Presidente and the true Speaker of the House. Yes. Hey, yeah. Hey, man. Hey, maybe we give you that lectern back if we get in the White House. You know what I mean?
I'm bringing my own.
Yeah.
I can build it cheaper. I'm not going to burden the taxpayers with furniture costs. I'll build my own.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we are at the end of this thing, sir. The Lectern guy. Do you have a place people can follow you, listen to you, support you, all those good things?
I'm exclusively on X or Twitter, as the boomers call it, at Lectern Leader. It's that down here on the thing over here. You can follow me there. We have a good time. I post a lot of fun things, a lot of family photos, a lot of vacation, a lot of just things I'm doing. I have a charity that I'm starting up. It should be up and running next 3 or 4 months, where every single dollar that is profit goes directly to children and stopping human trafficking. My page is also going to be monetized very soon, where every dollar from my page will also go to stop human trafficking. So every time you like, click, subscribe, comment, every single penny goes to the good fight.
I love this guy. Anybody that's stepping up to go against child sex, human trafficking, and child sex trafficking is a absolute king, in my opinion. We, my wife and I, are in the Garden Gate Ranch Society here. They're an entire nonprofit.
Love it.
Child sex trafficking, and our governor goes there. She goes to all the benefits and speaks, and she's a very big proponent. Now, I get a lot of guff for this because I'm a libertarian, but I like to say Iowa's got the best governor in the country right now. I don't care what anybody says. She's like super anti-child sex bullshit. She outlawed all the COVID mandates like entirely. She's fucking dope. She's a great governor. I don't care what he says. Maybe they could legalize pot and stop arresting people for that. I get that. But if I had to live in a place,
get rid of the income tax.
What's that?
Send me the information for the
Garden Gate Ranch.
That charity.
Yeah, I will. I donate to them monthly, not just a little bit, like $10 or whatever I can. But and we do.
Well, if I can, if they're let me look into them if they're like a really good charity, because I it's hard because
they're faith-based.
I'm starting my own because perfect. So maybe what I'll do is put up a lectern for auction, because if they're doing good things, I would love to be a part of that.
Oh yeah, they're a faith-based charity. They're really great. They do great work here, and they are based in Iowa, and they actually like house people that have come right out of human trafficking and stuff, and then they help them get jobs and heal and give them therapy and all that stuff. But it's all faith-based, completely faith-based. It's one of the greatest organizations, I think. And I do a lot of, when I do donate to a charity, because I don't have a lot of money to spare with all these kids, I make damn sure it's a good charity. You know what I mean? That's doing good work.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I appreciate it, man. Well, hey, listen, I'm a huge fan of yours, sir. I hope that everybody who watches this comes and follows you and gives you your support and buys lecterns, because we're gonna get one for the studio for sure, guaranteed. But I appreciate all the work that you're doing. I'm sorry that our U.S. federal government is such a shit show and puts you through the ringer for a couple of photo ops. I think it's bullshit. Of course, I think that you probably know that there's, millions of people in this country today that do have your back when it comes to that kind of stuff. But thanks for coming on Break the Cycle, man. We appreciate you. We hope to see you again soon.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, guys. Hey, everybody, go and follow the Lectern guy at Lectern Leader Twitter. This man is amazing. He's, you only knew the picture, right? Like when this all started, you only knew the picture of the guy. You're
now I know the man.
Now you know the man behind the picture.
And I'm better off for it.
And you're better off for it. You're all better off for it. He's a great dude. We have some great shows coming up for you. Of course, Sunday night, I will be returning from Tucson, Arizona for the debate in Arizona, hopefully to a debate here in Iowa if they can push it back a little bit. My flight doesn't get until 4, and they wanted to start the debate at 3. Either way, I'm missing the Dallas Cowboys playoff game, and that pisses me off, but I'll do it anyways. Okay. So we have that. I'll be here for the Des Moines debate. Of course, Mike Termott of Florida and Virginia. I think he went back and forth. He'll be in the studio on Sunday night. If you guys want to come over after the debate, you're more than welcome to. If not, I'll bring him by maybe I'll bring one of the other candidates too. I don't know. We'll have some presidential candidates in the studio talking about the campaigns and the way the country's going and all that stuff. And then, of course, next Thursday, and I think we're only going to have him for about 45 minutes or so, but we'll have Dave DeCamp from antiwar.com will be on the show. One of my favorite anti-war country right now. Is criminally underrated. He needs to be as big as my good friend Scott Horton. You got anything before we go, Ryan?
Follow me on Twitter at BulldogGamer 28. And then the Polk County Libertarian Party, I created a Twitter for them recently. So if anybody wants to follow that, it is Liberty in Polk.
That was gay, dude. Yeah, go follow me on Twitter too at Joshua at Large. Of course, if you're here and you've never heard us before, or you have forgot to subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Helps us bump the algorithm up and keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think we do a pretty good show here. We put a lot of work into this damn show, man. So if you could just subscribe for free, that helps us a lot. Of course, we also would appreciate it if you became a financial subscriber to the show too, but I won't force you to do that. I will force you to subscribe.
For the price of a cup of coffee a month.
Yeah, you help us get closer. We were on track to start flying guests into the studio. Took a little bit of time off, and we've slid back. So if you want to help us get there, where we're flying in, bigger and bigger guests, like we could have had the Lectern leader in the studio, and that would have been really cool. AJ, got anything before we go?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter, poison_tip. I did just post Ezekiel 8 from the Bible. If you guys want to check that out in your own time.
I'm reading it right now.
Synagogue of Satan? Okay, all right.
There's some digging involved. You have to dig into it.
Yeah, you got. There's a whole rabbi hole there. Guys, I love you to death. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I hope you guys will all go follow our wonderful guests and my co-hosts and me, and we're going to continue to do this show. So we appreciate you. I'll see you next Thursday or Sunday for the show with Mike Tremont. Until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just landed in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just landed in Minecraft. Well, Chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just landed in Minecraft. Obviously, I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse. In Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Nothing I mean, you know it. No product theaters, cause they're closed for COVID. Holy shit, I think I'm a poet. In Minecraft, in Minecraft.